And we've got this Fox News election alert on some new drama from the campaign trail. Just 4 days into his White House campaign, Texas Governor Rick Perry is doubling down on his attacks against the White House and President Obama's economic policies. It all got started with Governor Perry at a campaign stop in Iowa, making some now controversial comments about how Fed Chair Ben Bernanke, in his view, is making our economic situation worse. Take a listen.
If this guy prints more money between now and the election, I don't know what y'all would do to him in Iowa, but we would treat him pretty ugly down in Texas. I mean, printing more money to play politics at this particular time in American history is almost treasonous, in my opinion.
Well, the White House coming out and telling Perry to watch his words after that remark. Even President Obama weighing in and saying something similar. And here's how the GOP candidate then responded to that message today.
You know, yesterday, President said I needed to watch what I say. I just want to respond back, if I may. Mr. President, actions speak louder than words. My actions as governor are helping create jobs in this country. The president's actions are killing jobs in this country.
So who's winning this war of words? Joining me now, Kirsten Powers, Fox News contributor, and Ron Bonjean, former chief of staff to the Senate Republican Conference. By the way, Kirsten's got a New York Post column as well. All right, panel, thanks so much for being here. So, Kirsten, let me start with you. You know, did Perry err in not apologizing for what he said and instead choosing to double down on the remarks?
Well, I think once he's said it, I don't know that there's any point in him apologizing for it, especially because it's something that really resonates with the base. The base generally is not happy with economic policy, whether it's Obama or whether it's the Fed. They don't like the quantitative easing, which I think is what he's referring to when he's talking about printing money. So, you know, he's really appealing to a certain group of people. He takes a slight risk in that it doesn't sound presidential. He's gotten criticism even from Republicans about it. But, you know, right now he's trying to shore up his support among the base.
He is taking heat about it, Ron, not just from the left. And he is taking, I mean, somebody on the left yesterday was calling this it was a call for murder, they said, about his remarks. But the right, Karl Rove on Fox News, came out and said it was a very unfortunate comment. You don't accuse the chairman of the Federal Reserve of being a traitor to his country and being guilty of treason. He said almost treasonous, but this is Karl Rove, and suggesting that we, quote, treat him pretty ugly in Texas. And there are more former Bush White House officials who are coming out and saying, this is a former White House Treasury Department spokesman. In any event, there's a list of comments ripping on him for this comment from the right.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. You know, when you're in the White House, you're taught not to talk about the Fed and not to mention the dollar, or it'll still have effects. We're on the campaign trail. That's a whole other story. And I can see why Perry said what he said, but he needed to do it in a different way. And now you see him pivoting off of that and talking about the problems with Obama and the economy and trying to force that conversation.
But let me ask you honestly,
and get the White House
Ron,
tangled up in that.
is it a big deal? Because we had Michael Reagan on the program yesterday who said, you know, America needs to lighten up and learn how to take a joke.
Right. I think the Tea Party is the one who's going to elect him or nominate him in the primary, and that's who he's focusing on. So it doesn't really matter what Bush administration officials are saying. It matters what his core audience is saying and thinking right now, and he's tapping into that anger and frustration on the economy.
Yeah. Kirsten, what do you make of the president actually commenting on it? You know, like it seems like the White House wants to call attention to this comment.
Yes, because it's part of their strategy to portray Obama as a sort of grown-up versus to the people in the Republican primary. And so they want to cast Perry as being somebody who's shoots from the hip, which is one of the criticisms about him. And so I think that this sort of plays into their overall strategy, is that they want to say, look, this guy is kind of, you know, says things that aren't really very presidential and aren't really appropriate. But, you know, as Ron was saying, he's not right now trying to appeal to a broad electorate. In fact, if he apologized, I think he'd actually be in trouble with the Tea Party. I think that they would actually get angry at him for apologizing for this.
Well, he wouldn't apologize for the substance of the comment, but for the language that he used in expressing the thought. I mean, but it doesn't seem like it's part of his makeup, Kirsten, from what we know of Rick Perry so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's really known for apologizing, and I think that's probably what the Tea Party likes about him, and that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for somebody, even if he didn't change it on the substance, my sense is they don't even want to see him backing down in any way to the president.
Now, let me ask you this, Kirsten and then Ron. I want to ask you if you agree with our former President Bill Clinton. Do you think that he's a good-looking rascal?
No.
Ron?
I can't comment on that. He has great hair. That's what I've been told. He's got great hair.
It's so interesting that that's how President Clinton chose to weigh in on him. And then he said, well, he speaks a lot of nonsense. But just the term, he's a good-looking rascal, reminds me of Holden Caulfield. All right, you know what, panel? Thank you both so much. I have a feeling we'll have you back to talk about Perry in the coming days. Seems like he's a newsmaker to me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, new questions today after a reality show husband hangs himself. His lawyer had warned Russell Armstrong about the pressure of going on that particular show. That attorney joins us next on his tragic death. Also, Velma Hart, the woman who told President Obama at a town hall meeting 11 months ago that she was, quote, exhausted from defending him, still does not have a permanent job. She joins us live with how she feels about the president's jobs plan now. And did a rare weather event cause this deadly stage collapse in Indiana? We'll tell you what forecasters are now saying may have been behind this whole thing.